We obviously have to start out with ISC today. Inside Star Citizen, Storm Warning. I haven't watched it yet, but I saw plenty of comments about it. So, Inside Star Citizen, Storm Warning. New vehicle is showing up, I guess.
Invictus is here, and with it, a celebration of all things spaceship and space vehicle. And with today being both RSI and Tumbril Day, we've got introductions to 2 new ground vehicles for you this week, starting with an old friend ready to make our Constellation Phoenix complete, the RSI Lynx.
Okay.
Ground vehicles in Star Citizen play quite a large role. Obviously, we have these fully realized full planets and moons. You don't always want to spend all your time flying over them in your ships.
What? I mean, like, this is... Oh, my God. I can't believe I'm already pausing. They play nearly no role. And when the large role explanation is, sometimes you don't want to travel across our really cool planets and moons and ships, is not a large role. No way. And they start out with the mole, or the rock. The rock is the only ground vehicle that does play a role, and it's because they artificially created one.
We're going to have things coming online in the future, such as weather, that's going to make that prohibitively more dangerous to do.
Oh, someone in chat told me to stop pausing, listen to what he has to say, because he's going to explain it. So weather is the reason to use a ground vehicle? Oh, is that the weather that they showed at CitizenCon 2016? That weather? Is that what you mean? What year is it? That was 7 years ago. That would have been an argument 7 years ago. But at this point, you can't use that and go, well, ground vehicles must be useful. Whenever they do that, sure, they might be more useful. But the argument right now is that they're useful. They're not. You know? They're just not.
Flying is the main traversal type, but of course with ground vehicles, there is so much more to explore on planets. It adds so much diversity to the missions that we have.
I feel like ground vehicles are an opportunity for players to have fun and explore the terrain of our lovely planet, not from, going in from a top side, but really getting in and around with the dunes and the broken ships and stuff.
He doesn't even know what to say, dude. He doesn't even know what to say. He's the only one that's right so far. Hey, ground vehicles can be kind of fun sometimes, right? I like to go around in the dunes. Like, sure, yeah, agreed.
The fun, the dynamic. You get some feedback from the road. If you enjoy driving, it's something for you, isn't it? It's not always a spaceship.
You need to have the options. I mean, if you don't have a ship, how are you going to get from A to B? You need something to get you there. And if you're going from A to B, then someone's in the way, you get a tank.
How do you get your tank from A to B? You put it in a ship. I don't know. These are the ones that I really have a hard time with. They're literally selling things and saying them in the worst way possible. This is so hard to watch. Oh my God.
At Invictus launch week, we're introducing 2 new vehicles to the game, the drivable RSI Lynx and a concept vehicle, which we'll talk about later. The Lynx was introduced alongside the RSI Constellation Phoenix back in 2014. It was mentioned as it's sort of an add-on to the Phoenix. The Lynx
9 years, baby. We finally got it.
Is RSI's more luxury counterpart to the Ursa rover.
It expands the capabilities. I suppose there's an element of, showing off, maybe.
It's for the distinguished individual who likes to travel in style.
It serves a different purpose to the Ursa. It's very much for VIP transport.
Oh my God, dude. They put stock things here so you look like a stock trader.
exploration.
Oh my god.
We've taken some stuff from the Scorpius. We've taken some stuff from the Ursa itself. We've invented other stuff from scratch because not everything that we needed already existed. It is fun and fancy.
I think the exterior is amazing. It's got so many great angles and it just looks so RSI. It just comes together really nicely. We took the Ursa and we basically made it
good.
beautiful.
It trades out some of that rugged utilitarian functionality for just a more enjoyable experience to ride around exploring in the back of.
So it's a lot of clean, glossy panels, higher quality materials, and less dense.
Bro, look at the stains and the scratches on this. They need to return it.
Detail, more focusing on angular lines.
We're very constrained with the overall size dimensions. It has to fit in the Phoenix, so we couldn't make the vehicle any longer, wider, taller, so we had to work to the same footprint.
We've tried to not have too much visible mechanics on the outside of it, because you don't want to go up to a fancy luxury car and just see the engine just there. You know it's a car, you know it's got an engine, you don't need to know where the engine is. You just want it to look good whilst you're actually getting from A to B.
It's very nice design. Alberto, our concept artist, did a very good job on that. We had quite a lot of references to new electric trucks, that type of thing. Got a clean day running lights. As you go round to the side, you've got like a peek-in window of the cockpit. So underneath you can sort of see feet. I don't know why you'd want to see feet, but yeah.
I mean, it's the internet, bro. I don't know. How many of you guys want to see feet? I imagine there's some of you in the chat, somewhere in there.
And then we've got the suspension uprights, which are finished in like a goldy colour, which is quite nice. It's quite ornate for something that sort of takes the load of the vehicle and that kind of thing. A very nice 13-piece door. 13-piece on my side. You're not going to see 13 pieces.
I think he hated this door.
I think my favourite thing on the Lynx is the wheels. They are quite unlike anything else we've got in the game.
We've tried to go for wheels that would seem a little bit more luxurious, so we've gone for a shape that will kind of make them a little bit quieter.
They look pretty cool. They're very evocative of those sort of sand racing tyres with the big ribs on them. They give it a very strong visual identity from the outside.
You know, I was just sitting here thinking, like, you know, I really don't like popping on and just instantly crapping on people, right? It's not a, you know, everybody's human, and it's not a good feeling to you know, say what someone's work is bad, right? The vehicle itself, beautiful, cool, all that stuff, right? It's the thing that I have a hard time with is, like, I wonder if at the company the success of your vehicle or ship that you're creating is based off of how well it sells. And then they literally have these people come on and go, make it successful, right? So then they come on this ISC and then they sell the thing that they worked so hard on because they worked so hard on it and they truly believe it's awesome, right? The only thing that I take issue with is that they pop on and say that ground vehicles are incredibly useful. They are very niche right now and are not as useful as they're portraying, right? You can bring a ground vehicle and kind of sneak into a jump town. You could bring a ground vehicle and sneak into now a Ghost Hollow scenario. And that's about it, right? Like, tanks don't have a huge usefulness. Some of the Atlas platform vehicles definitely do. But for the most part, they have not filled their role yet. I'm not sure what role a vehicle would fill if I can use a spaceship, other than racing, perhaps. But, you know, cargo and personal transport, like this kind of stuff, I'm not entirely seeing the point yet. But the storms, like that's really where that they kind of sold the Ursa originally to us, right? Like, hey, you know, you're going to come to these places, there's going to be storms, and you're not going to be able to fly. But that's really it, though, right? Like, that's really the only argument here.
My favorite thing about the Lynx,
Like, help me understand where a vehicle might live outside of racing or these storms. And these storms can't happen all the time. Otherwise, kind of bad, right? Traversals in cities, but none of the cities we have are set up with roads, you know? You want to do Lorville version 12?
is the huge rear windows.
It's got this lovely wraparound window. It just creates a very different atmosphere inside the vehicle.
Whether
Yeah,
you're
just
having
for RP.
in-game business meetings or just chilling with your friends, having that scenery so on display right next to you really adds to the whole experience when you're just sat in the back with your champagne.
When you step in, we've got some TVs that pop out of the side of the panels, some personal storage, and seats, which move. And you can push a button and they will spin around. You've also got a location for storage, which obviously folds away so that if you've got something you just want to put up there, you don't have to see it, but you know it's there. We've also got a weapons rack. It folds itself away and it pops out. It's got some
The
nice
weapons
little
rack is
smoky
weird.
glass doors on the front of it.
The lighting is designed to be a more habitable area for your luxury passengers.
We have a magnificent full-length fridge, and off to the left we've got a couple of shelves where you can store stuff. We don't say it's a drug storage location, but secretly it is a drug storage location. Just don't tell the cops.
Okay. Oh my God, it
Compared
kicked him in the
to
nuts.
the base Ursa, the Lynx is a little more agile, a little faster. It is like this because it just has less weight
Of course it's better.
to it, less
What's new?
carrying capability, so it can trade that off for speed. And the two people that are sat in the back in relative luxury have a much nicer experience seeing the sights of the universe around them. Compared to the other ground vehicles in events such as the Daymar Rally, I think this is going to be a strong competitor. It's going to be really interesting to see which players prioritize over the other, whether you take the speed of the Lynx versus the increased durability of the Ursa itself. But you don't often see
Okay, so they increased the durability of the regular Ursa, and then so they kind of balanced them. Okay.
Bentleys racing against other vehicles in real life rallies, so maybe not as durable as the others.
This is for people that like to get
I
from
like that they shared the downside of the vehicle. Like, you get the bonuses, but they also said the negatives of it. And I'm happy that they included that in there.
A to B and look like they're in a good car when they're doing it.
I think the fantasy of
Whoa.
having someone chauffeur you around while you're sitting in the back drinking cocktails or the champagne and looking at your business portfolio while just the world of Star Citizen goes on around you. It's pretty
What
cool.
does that even
It's-
mean?
Also for people who'd never be caught dead racing in a mule.
True.
So that's the new way to get around the surface of Stanton's planets and moons in style. But what about those who want a bit more pew-pew with their...
All right, here's the thing. The only viability that I see this vehicle being is a purpose-built player transport mission that needs to be higher end, and it's, you know, traveling from one outpost to another, right? We're seeing derelict settlements coming up. Hopefully we have actual settlements coming up, and then you're driving like from one place to another, right? And those are things that you could build reputation in, and the better vehicle you have, the better champagne you provide, shit like that is a better situation, right? So that would be good. An altitude sensitive box. I mean, I think we're drawing at straws there, but yeah. Avoid radars and AA with ground vehicle missions, maybe. Yeah, like we have the extraction on the other end of that with the Atlas. What is it? The Spartan or the Ursa, right? Like these more military built vehicles rather than the Lynx for missions like that would make a lot of sense, right? So transport is where I see something like a ground vehicle being a thing. It's just at the beginning, they try to sell it as if it already is, and it's not,
Hot.
Yeah,
Look.
it's the make it first, find a use for it later problem that Will Meme for Food says. It's just dumb.
Just go with it. Well, Tumbrel has you covered with the latest in planet-side mobility and destroyability with the Tumbrel Storm. Let's find out more.
Hello again. It is once again myself, John Crew.
I heard this was
Let's
just
talk about
concept art.
the concept vehicle that we're introducing at Invictus Launch Week, the Tumbrel Storm. The Tumbrel Storm is a light/scout tank from Tumbrel. In a lot of combined armed forces, you rely on...
Sorry, I gotta look back. The Daymar colored sand one looks so good.
/scout
It's cool
tank
looking.
from Tumbrel. In a lot of combined armed forces, you rely
Scout
on
tank, though?
reconnaissance on the ground to let you know what's coming ahead. And whilst we do have an array of ground vehicles that can do this role, not very many of them are as heavily armored as a tank. And sometimes reconnaissance goes a bit sideways and you need some firepower to help get you out of that situation. So the Storm is really excels in this scenario. It can be ahead of the fleet on the ground, engage targets and
scenario?
hold its ground before the main force of ground vehicles.
These are made up scenarios, though. Like, that's the thing. It's like, what scenario, dude? There are no scenarios like this unless we pretend and make them up.
Arrives for backup. One aspect that we wanted to change from the traditional tank and Nova setup is making this energy weapon based. So it had
That's
a
cool.
much greater independence from the main task force on the ground, in that it wasn't constrained by ballistic ammunition. So it has an energy autocannon on top, twin-barreled, to help lay down firepower, really only constrained by the size of its capacitors and power plant. The
Nice.
Storm is really designed for supporting Novas in attacks. It can take on most other ground vehicles. If you're brave, you can take on a Nova with it, but you probably want to bring a friend or two to help even the fight.
I received the task to complete a new vehicle. I was told to do a tank, most precisely something that would have become a killer of killers. We had to go back to the origins of Tumbrel and let this new tank look less like the Nova tank and more like the Cyclone. So it
Okay.
was important to get back that aggressiveness and that dynamics that the Cyclone
looks
had.
so good,
we
though.
opted for something a little less classical and
It's
went
cool.
on a design that is absolutely more related to the manga and anime's world. When people see the Storm for the first
Weebs out. We found the weeb, guys. Get him out of here. Weebs out. What is this? No, there's so many of you. Why?
time, I want them to feel scared. There is no flimsy paneling, there is no beautiful refined surface. This is just optimal and very, very dynamic. So we don't have a lot of parallel lines. We
It's
have a
the
lot
weeb
of
ship.
X's and V's, very strong shapes that deline what is popularly recognized as dynamic and aggressive. The interiors of the Storm will feel really
it's
full of pipes, of
It's straight solo, eh? Whoa. That's crazy. So this is the only interior, is the cockpit and these sides?
fabric, of mechanical stuff. It have to look basically ventral, like you have just been eaten by a machine. So what we have is
Okay.
very composed design, something that is uncommon in the tank we know today. So what we wanted to achieve when you look at the Storm is fast. Strike fast, move fast, do everything fast, no need to rely on a crew. I like that it looks a bit like an animal. It's very, very snaky, or looks a bit like a crocodile.
Now, of course, the big question everyone always asks
looks
for
like a
every new
scorpion.
concept promotion is when? When will it go into production? Well, let's go now to the vehicle team in our Los Angeles studio and find out more.
The problem is
Hold up. Guys, we put out this new concept vehicle, and it's, listen, we're not doing the same thing we did with everything else you spent money on. No, everyone asked when, because the idea of selling a concept ship is just the same thing over and over again. Here is the picture of your Anvil Liberator. Here's the picture of your, what's the name of the hacking one that you board ships with, right? What's the name of that one? The Liberator, I think? Like, things like those, or Legionnaire. Yeah, Legionnaire. Like, these ships that just come out and they sell you the picture, and then it's just crickets, dude, for literal years. Crickets. And coming out and saying, guys, by the way, we're putting this one into production now, doesn't solve the problem for the, 50 plus ships that are just sitting in the backlog that everybody paid money for and doesn't have, right? Like you do not get the pat on the back for putting this in engine for me. Sorry, you just don't.
Where my story goes is always I will identify all of the
Hess.
issues that I have to overcome first, and then like build a plan for breaking them down. So I'm trying to think of a way of phrasing it, you know? We had a lot of cleaning up to do to make sure it was worthy of the engine, it's ready for engine, it's not going to break anything when it goes in there. And that was what most of the initial white box work we did, at least from an art side. For design, we were more concerned about alleviating a lot of the issues we knew were present with the Nova, stuff like traversing on uneven terrain, exiting the hangar. These are issues we solved first, rather than waited until later in production and realized there were more difficult tasks to overcome.
That's good.
So most recently, we finished Gray Box. We completed all the animations. Currently, I am doing a material and detail pass on the tread housings for the Tumbril Storm. This thing has challenged me in ways I haven't been challenged before in working in the game industry. For example, the treads took a couple different iterations, so we got right. And be able to get like the right movement as it deforms to the ground planes. This ship is definitely more organic than anything I'm used to, and I suppose it's like its own challenges, but it's been a learning process.
The art is to continue on to LOD 0, finalizing all of the art assets, making sure everything's going to be correct for when we move on to all of our higher detail, tertiary details that will go into it later.
I mean,
everything
I like
from the way the doors open on the tank to the cockpit itself. When you go inside this thing, it's like stepping into a mech. It's completely different from any other vehicle I've seen in this game.
My favorite thing about the Storm is going to be the role of it. The Nova is a very, very big tank. It requires 3 people. It's got that big size 5 cannon.
I've never seen the Nova be used by more than one person. Same thing with like a C2. Right? Very rarely is it used by more than one person.
You don't always need a size 5 cannon. Some people may disagree, but I don't think you do. The Storm is a little bit quicker, only requires 1 person. It kind of sits in a really good
The tank nerd to me is
spot
having a
between...
headache. It's not really a tank, right? Isn't it more, what are the vehicles that just have like a gunner at the top? I don't know the actual like proper name for them, but it's more like an IFV, right? Okay. Yeah. Or an APC, something like that. It's not really a tank, but it has treads, so therefore tank.
Quick like a Cyclone, and something a little bit more punchy like the Nova.
I'm excited the progress that the team has made on this. It's been a real beauty to work on, and it should be a lot of fun for the players too.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the RSI Lynx is the new benchmark for traveling planetside in comfort and style. That the Tumbril Storm says you can blow stuff up and look slick as all heck while doing it.
It does
and
look
that
slick.
It's already in production for an intended release in the less than distant future. Now, join us tomorrow for our Invictus All Vehicles Roundtable over on Star Citizen Live. And don't forget to check out everything else that's available in Alpha 319 in between visiting the Invictus showrooms. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm
ABC
Jared
holds
Huckabee.
people,
Thanks for
personnel,
exploring the process of game development with us, and we'll see you all here next week.
Okay. I mean, there's always something at the end now, right? Let's see. We'll wait. I always miss the thing at the end. It is a light tank? All right, I'll take Nubifier's word for it.
It's your call. You can make it.
Oh my god, that guy looks like Will.
I believe in you.
Yo, this guy looks like the original community manager for Star Citizen. His name was Will.
I'll step out.
Roll a survival check.
14.
You successfully exit the elevator. Just
That's
kidding.
Grimhex.
You're dead.
Yo, okay, that was good. That was a good one. GG, Jared. That one was solid. That was the best ending to an INC yet. You successfully exited the elevator. Just kidding. Nope, you're dead. Rare W at the end. Yeah, agreed. The thing for this video is it just straight up is hard to just listen to the BS of how good ground vehicles are in Star Citizen. They're just not, right? They just aren't. There are no scenarios that they're just, making up in their head right now. It would be really great if the scenarios existed and then they applied the vehicles to them, i.e. the Centurion, right? That was the best example of a perfectly designed and released ground vehicle. Hey, we have this Jumptown thing, and man, it would be really good to have turrets there. Okay, well, bring Centurions, right? That was like really, really good, and I felt like I needed a Centurion. I actually think I melted something and bought 2 of them for our org to do Jumptown with. Turns out it wasn't the best thing to bring to Jumptown anyway, but I think that was like creating a solution to a problem that the game put in front of you, right? This one is they're making up scenarios that don't exist and saying that this vehicle is the solution for them. And that's the part that is problematic for me. Yeah, sadly, ships are out of range usually for them. Yeah. Maybe they'll be better for Jumptown come the master modes changes or whatever, right? But we'll have to see. So in the end, that's where I take issue with, but Lynx is really cool. I could totally see it as a vehicle for personal transport. That'll be really neat. And then from there, we'll see about this tank, if it's going to be any good. But it looks like it'll be a shit ton of fun.